Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday, the 19th of November. It's me. One sec, let me post this. Oh, good morning, Cam. Good morning, Hawkey. Good morning, Raj. Where's Mr. Brown? Morning, Paul. Everyone but Mr. Brown. It's fucking snowing, guys. It's fucking snowing. Come on, Mr. Brown. Thing is, I can't even do the legals because he doesn't trust that I've done them. Oh, there he is. Send co-host invite. Morning, Zach. Come on down, Mr. Brown. Accept your invite. There you go. Come on.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. And no, it is not snowing here in Royal Tunbridge Wells, thank God.
Oh, I love the fact you have to drop in the royal, don't you?
Well, of
It's not.
course.
It's royal, Tommy. You snob. Right. Let me do the legals.
You know me.
Um, Nothing discussed on this spaces session constitute trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ Global Limited, Trainers PIQ, or PIQ Suite, or indeed its affiliates, including the hosts, which is, as you know by now, Mr. Michael Brown, and myself, Mr. Ryan Hazy. Yay! It is genuinely big fat snow here, and as Zach said, he was late doing his overnight roundup because he was looking at it thinking it might be ash.
Ash.
So then, yeah, I think he thought that there might have been some apocalypse that no one told him about. But
Oh,
anyway.
what, that well-known volcano in southeast London that went off overnight,
Well,
yeah.
you never know, mate. Stranger things have happened this year.
You know. Well, that is very true. That is very true. And you're relying on him to do your analysis.
Of course, mate. He's sound. Sound. You don't sound very well, Mr. Brown.
No, I'm still battling away with man flu over here.
Grow up here.
Yeah, well, exactly. Should we crack on?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
We're not just
let's.
here for us to have a natter. Well, we are,
No,
but
well, we are actually, but yeah, unfortunately, some people have to listen. Well, I haven't actually got too much to get through this morning
oh,
because it
thank
was
God for that.
a relatively uneventful start to the week. Really, a bit of a grind higher in the equity
Wait, wait.
space, which really kicked off after the US cash open. Saw the S&P 500 end the day about 0.4% higher. The tech sector outperforming with the Nasdaq up by about 0.7%. It was also relatively quiet in the fixed income and the foreign exchange space. Some marginal dollar softness coming through with the dollar index down about 0.5% on the day and all other G10s gaining some ground. Although we did see those gains in cable capped at the 127 figure and the gains in the euro capped at the 106 handle. So still within the recent trading ranges that we've been in for some time. And the move lower in the dollar came as treasuries rallied across the curve with 10-year yields yesterday down a couple of basis points and the long end continuing to gain ground this morning with 10 and 30-year yields down about 4 basis points in the, early in the London session. There was a little bit of volatility in the commodities arena, though. Some increased geopolitical risk appearing to be priced as haven demand saw gold gain around 2%, trading north of $2,600 an ounce once more, while crude also firmed to the tune of about 3%, with WTI trading north of $69 a barrel once more. External catalysts, though, yesterday were relatively light. There was absolutely nothing by way of economic data. We did have some central bank speakers, none of whom said much of particular interest. All of those from the ECB continuing to really strongly guide towards another 25 basis point cut at the December meeting, while also guiding away from the idea that the ECB will step things up and move by 50 basis points anytime soon. We also heard from the BOE's Megan Green yesterday, of course, a more hawkish member of the MPC, although she did vote for a 25 basis point cut about a fortnight ago. She was talking about how there is a risk that earnings growth could well prove stickier than expected, and that earnings growth running north of 3% is still too high and incompatible with a return to 2% inflation over the medium term. Of course, the latest UK CPI figures are due at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. There are also a handful of headlines just worth flagging. For the purists out there, of course, the US moved to T+1 equity settlement earlier in the year. ESMA is now recommending that the European Union do the same, but not until October of 2027. So that is just one
Not
to
being
keep on
funny,
the
but
radar. Go on.
this winds me up a little bit. It's
Oh,
very,
God.
very easy to do. Sorry, it's very, very easy to do this, right? We know, right? We know how things can clear very, very quickly in this day and age.
Um,
What?
well, it's not as easy as you
Oh, it's pretty
you
that yeah.
profess there, because you forget the foreign exchange side of things.
Oh, yeah, but it's no, but I'm sorry, but unless you're OTC, if you are clearing, if you're working for a clearing house, you're being matched, right? You can clear this a lot quicker, right? And not only that, if you want to kind of say, okay, yeah, let's start doing T+1, yeah, great. But 2027, I'll be
Yeah,
dead
it's the
by
EU,
then.
mate.
I'll
What?
be dead by then.
True, but it's the EU, mate. They've got to have a few summits about it first, haven't they?
Well, yeah, get long EU caterers, the trade that never loses.
Indeed. Into other bits and bobs, Trump, obviously this shenanigans over Treasury Secretary continuing. Looks like
Shenanigans.
it looks like Kevin Walsh is the front runner at this point, which is interesting given that if you go back and listen to what Walsh has been saying over the last few years, he's been a massive proponent of free trade and massively against tariffs. So it'd be interesting to see how Trump reconciles that with his potential Treasury Secretary pick. Sticking with Trump, and this is another story in my area of expertise, crypto. Apparently, Trump's social media group, which trades under the ticker DJT, is in talks to buy crypto firm backed, something like that. God only knows what this means. Apparently, it was good for about a 1% move higher in Bitcoin, which continues to trade north of 90 grand. Fuck knows, to be completely honest with you. I just chucked it in because it sounded interesting. It could be completely insignificant. And
Welcome to my
last,
world.
indeed, and last but by no means least, in the United States, Spirit Airlines. They have crash landed. They have filed
Oh,
for
fuck
Chapter
off.
11 bankruptcy in New York.
Thank you for that. Well, following that theme, here's a load of headlines. I have no idea what they mean, but they sound interesting. Um, Courtesy
It's
of our dear
usually a good
friend.
policy, I find.
Well, yeah, well, it tends to work for me, mate. Courtesy of our dear friend Zach. So, macro news. Despite total foreign holdings of US Treasuries hitting a record in September, China's amount fell for the third consecutive month to 772 billion, down from a record high of 1.315 trillion in June 2011. As always, any news that China's holdings are dropping normally leads to a load of people on social media claiming that that means the death of the dollar. It does not, but whatever floats your boat. Goldman Sachs has forecast that the S&P 500 index will reach 6,500 by the end of 2025,
Oh,
joining what
well, no,
what
Finny, I've got something else on that,
Oh,
actually.
okay. Joining sorry, joining Piers Morgan Stanley on the back of continued growth in the UK economy, US economy and corporate earnings. Go on.
Well, I was going to say there's certainly no fucking growth in the UK economy.
Well, there's
The
it.
Morgan
God, you
Stanley
are
call
really
is.
sweary today, Mr. Brown.
I
I
am.
like
I
it.
am.
I like it a lot.
The Morgan Stanley call is interesting because obviously Mike Wilson, their chief equity chap, has been bearish for the last
It's
two
forever.
years, year and a half, 2 years, and he's now turned bullish into 2025. So
The
do with that
signs of the
context
top.
what you will.
Um,
Exactly.
where was I? Right, okay, here we go. Right, Trump may be planning to attend the SpaceX rocket launch in person in Texas on Tuesday. That's today, just in case you weren't aware. Another sign of his, another sign that took me by surprise. Then, another sign of his close ties with the company's billionaire founder, CEO Elon Musk. Now, this is quite interesting because obviously there's a lot of chatter. This Texas stock market that's opening up fairly soon. This year, next year, probably next year now. There's a lot of chatter that SpaceX might be one of the first stocks to list on the Texas stock market. Now, we've mentioned already before that perhaps this is very much me connecting about eight dots together with crayons. That perhaps Elon Musk is now looking to roll out of Tesla into SpaceX. Kind of it ticks a lot of boxes if he would do that. And again, he's probably going to treble his wealth if he does that as well. So one to keep an eye on. But anyway, record numbers of US executives are selling shares in their companies as corporate insiders from Goldman Sachs to Tesla. Even Donald Trump's own media group cashing on stock market surge that's followed his election victory. In the UK's biggest retailers have written to Chancellor Reeves. I can just hear Michael Brown seething under his breath to warn her that the last month's budget will make both higher prices and job losses uncertainty and dent investment, something that we all knew was on the cards.
Indeed. Just well
Yes, go. Go on. You
on
can't help
Chancellor
yourself, can you?
Reeves.
You cannot help yourself. Go on.
Well, no, her lying appears to have been exposed once again.
Well,
Um,
exactly.
this
Oh,
this little message that's doing the rounds that she posted on the internet in 2012, and I quote: "I first met him when I was the very junior Japan analyst at the Bank of England 12 years ago." Well, that's not the economist you claim to be, is it?
it's one up from T Boy or T
It is.
Person.
Well,
Sorry, T Person, and
well,
I should
Sake,
know.
presumably on the Japan desk, but
Oh, probably.
it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, I was an economist at the BOE. You weren't. You were a junior on the Japan desk, and then you fucking handed out banknotes in Halifax.
I do believe that's three swears, and like, we're not even finished yet. Oh, he's on a record. Anyway, in crude markets, have I ever told you? U.S. crude futures flipped to contango structure for the
What, you
first
were a
time
T-boy
since.
in the crude market?
Yeah, pretty much. Straubs is there nodding away. Um, what was I saying? Crude futures have flipped to contango structure for the first time since February on Monday, with WTI for January delivery trading at a premium to the December contract, in a sign that supply tightness is easing. A couple of geopolitical headlines for you. The EU is planning to compel Chinese companies to transfer technology to European businesses in return for EU subsidies. Sounds a lot like begging to me. As Israel advances its invasion in southern Lebanon, its troops are finding large troves of Russian weapons, confirming long-standing suspicions that Hezbollah is enhancing its fighting capacity with the help of sophisticated Russian arms. And finally, one for the chip boys. Is Tom there? Yes, he is. AMD announces its chief accounting officer, Darla Smith, will resign, but said the resignation has nothing to do with a dispute with the company nor its accounting practices. Well, I'm not being funny, but my money is definitely on something that happens with the accounting practices if the chief accounting officer resigns. That,
Yeah.
or there's been some inappropriate behaviour. You know, I won't say any more on that because glass houses.
Well, yeah, quite. I was actually on that, and I don't want to go down a sort of conspiracy rabbit hole, but
Go on, put the
AMD,
tinfoil on.
their accounting chap or woman has left. Supermicro yesterday finally found BDO who are happy to audit them, and God knows what mess they're going to find
I'm
in
not being funny, but that is
SMCI's
very
books.
bearish BDO because if you're picking up that
Massively.
potato,
But it's just like it seems, and I may be putting two and two together and getting five here, but it does seem as if these accounting issues are becoming worryingly widespread in this sector.
well, yeah, there's me and you have both been kind of poo-pooing the idea that Tom's probably shaking his head as we say this, but but everyone moaning about accounting and all this stuff, it's all made up stuff. However, fair enough. There's a lot of wrongness going on right now. Well, that's what it
There
seems.
does seem to be, you know,
So yeah, perhaps we might have to say, we might have to kind of hold our hands up,
eat a
and say,
bit of humble pie on that one.
yeah, we might have to, let's not do it just yet, but yeah, in a
No,
couple of
no,
weeks' time, in a month or so's time, we might be sitting here going, do you know what, guys? Those people claiming it's all made up numbers, you might have been right, but
yes,
we still need some more proof.
we do, and of course we've got earnings from Nvidia due tomorrow.
Made up numbers.
Well,
Go on.
yeah.
What's happening today?
Excuse me. Indeed, what is happening today? Not a
I
lot
don't
in
know. I'm
terms of
asking you.
the economic calendar, to be completely honest with you. During the European session, we've got the final October CPI figures out of the Eurozone. Headline and core inflation both expected unrevised from the previously released flash estimate. So that would put headline at 2% and core at 2.7% on an annual basis in October. Moving into the afternoon, all of this is at 1:30. We have the latest CPI figures out of Canada. Headline CPI expected at 1.9% on an annual basis in October for a prior 1.6%. Looking at money markets for the next BOC meeting, which is on the 11th of December, the market currently pricing around a 55% chance of a 25 basis point move and around a 45% chance of a larger 50 basis point cut from the BOC in a few weeks' time. Also at 1:30, we get the latest US building permits and housing starts figures, but they are very, very unlikely to be market moving. In terms of central bank speakers, there are a few on the docket this morning. We have Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey, Deputy Governor Lombardelli, and external MPC members Mann and Taylor all testifying in front of the Treasury Select Committee. We also hear today from the ECB's Panetta, Muller, and Elderson. The latter is speaking at a green finance forum, which
Oh
sounds
God.
like an absolute thriller. I'm sure Zach will listen nonetheless. And we also this afternoon hear from the Fed's Schmid. And on the earnings docket, of course, we do have earnings due from Nvidia tomorrow. But before the open today, we hear from Walmart, who are my favourite type of stock, which is a bit of a bellwether stock. And that
You
is
do
your
love a
lot
bellwether.
for
You,
today. I do indeed.
that's what they say in the pub. They're like that. Michael Brown, he loves a bellwether. But anyway,
When
if
I
anyone,
actually pay, that is.
well, yeah, exactly. If anyone is going to finance magnates today, look out for the little happy chap that's got riddled with ADHD. That'll be me.
Go go
Come
to
and say hello.
go to the Walrus and ask if they've seen a kid trying to order a pint.
That's exactly where I'm going to be for most of the day. How did you know?
That's where everyone's going to be. No one actually goes to the event.
Well, I'm going to do a lap. But anyway, we digress. Straub, stop texting me. I'm trying to do this bloody call. Right. Anyway, guys, if you are trading today, as always, keep it tight. Don't be your ass. And me and Michael Brown will see you tomorrow. Have a
You
great
indeed.
one. Time for the awkward silence. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.